James Clerk Maxwell's theory of electromagnetism states that light as electromagnetic radiation has a property of momentum and thus exerts pressure on any surface that is exposed to it. Thank you, Wikipedia. Allow me to develop a theory which I like to call the Jesus effect. It states that the restoration of vision is a direct result of the revelation of Christ in a space previously unaware of his abiding presence. Allow me to explain. 1, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. 2, and in him there was life, and that life was light to men. 3, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, but the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. 4, and God said, "Let there be light." Now it stands to reason that if God, who is Word, has life in him, and that life is light to men, when God said, "Let there be light," he also meant, "Let there be life." But he asserts that I am the way, the truth, and the life. Therefore, God saying, "Let there be light, let there be life," is God saying, "Let me be here." And five, there was light. Now that's the Jesus effect, because when darkness faced off with light, darkness had to step aside because light, with its property of momentum, exerts pressure on any surface that is exposed to it. And that's the Jesus effect. So I like to imagine that in the 450 years between Malachi and Matthew, when darkness had harnessed the minds of men until it sounded like God's silence, heaven was turned inside out while the Creator prepared to meet creation. Just imagine how long it must take to set aside omnipotent glory, so that when God walked among men, he would not obliterate us along with our darkness, because our minds had returned to being without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. But the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters, and there was light in the form of a baby in a manger. And I cannot comprehend how Word was made flesh, but I know that the moment Christ was born, suddenly the eyes of shepherds opened. They beheld angels, and wise men could pick out a single star out of the sky like a compass. Vision restored. Emmanuel, God with us, is the Jesus effect, because darkness is not merely the absence of light, but also sight. The electromagnetic says, on the spectrum of light, there are wavelengths too long and too short for us to detect. So sometimes what we consider darkness is in reality brightness, but at frequencies which the human eye cannot perceive. So the command of "let there be light" is one aimed at darkness, telling it to move. So God can reveal his pre-existence even within the void. No wonder the psalmist cries, "Even in darkness I cannot hide from you." To you, night shines as bright as day. Dark and light are the same to you. Ukukhanya ukudedisa ubumnyama. Ilanga la ufanekiswa nawe liziqonda ubuze balo lizifihle phakathi kwesithunzi sakho. Day 1, the earth dressed in light. But there was neither sun or moon or star to blame. He was the source. No wonder he never sleeps. Let him be here. You know, I've read stories of heroes, masked men in capes with superpowers draped in spandex, and around their waist a belt full of gadgets so that a bat can play at being a man. A Superman who shuns gravity despite the steel in his veins, though the S on his chest no longer stands for shield when kryptonite has him under arrest. Just as a Hulk wishes for rest from the green rage that fuels his brute force, Bruce Banner shatters his way through life like a hammer in the hands of a Norse smith worthy to Thor its iron disposition. He lifts it like a mad conductor, orchestrating electricity, lightning bolts like Iron Man looks sharp in a suit. Though red and gold cannot hide the hole in his chest, superheroes, fantastical conceptions, secret identities, and supernatural abilities, I almost want to compare them to you. But they don't quite fit the purpose of my praise or the magnitude of your grace, because I marvel at your mercy. You had every right to avenge your name, but instead you assembled heaven's best gift. Your justice is in a league of its own. You've changed the game, because when Gotham calls for salvation in a bat signal, but the cross cast a shadow that would fall on each end of eternity so that all who call your name can be saved. You're so much more than a superhero, because you came to make sons and daughters of villains. And we know that the adoption process takes a little long, so you spent 4,000 years laying out the terms. On Calvary, you signed the papers. And yet for you, Father, for you, a cape is not enough. So you give us a robe of righteousness to smother this hulking beast until it dies daily. And even when kryptonite sins bring us to our knees, your love lifts us to our feet in flight. We are taken above this world plight. You are our delight, and we can hardly call it flying when we're simply sitting on your shoulders. I know we've all read stories of heroes, masked men in capes, superpowers draped in spandex, but they're nothing but an extended joke. I think it's time that this world met our Father.